Hello everyone. I, on behalf of Maharashtra College of Arts, Science and Commerce, welcome you all for today's session, Communication Skills, the Game Changer Post-Corona. Today we have with us Ms. Kiran Shetty, an educator from Trinity College London, as our resource person. Before we start the session, I would request our principal, Dr. Sirajun Chokle, to give the welcome speech. I request all the participants to disable the videos and mute their audios as well. Over to you, sir, please.
Thank you, Ismail sir. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A warm good morning to one and all participating in this international webinar. On behalf of Maharashtra College at the onset, I would like to welcome and thank Professor Kiran Shetty, who is associated with Trinity College London and accepted our invite to be a resource person for this international webinar. Thank you, madam, for giving this gesture. Briefly, I would like to introduce Maharashtra College to all the participants. Maharashtra College is an institution which is already 50 plus. We are in the 53rd year. The college has all the three faculties, that is arts, science and commerce, right from 11th standard to research, that is 11th, 12th, and then the undergraduate section, then the postgraduate section, and the research section. So we have all. But to highlight certain parts of Maharashtra College, first and foremost, of the 4,000 plus students that we have in Maharashtra College, 70% of the students are girls. So empowering women this is what we call. And this was exactly what the founders were dreaming of, to bring higher education to the doorstep of women's of the community. And rightly so, we can definitely say that their dreams have been fulfilled in the last 50 years. Another important milestone that Maharashtra College can always talk about is it is a 100% solar powered college. So we are environmentally very sound. We have put up solar plant, and in South Mumbai or across Mumbai, we are one of the college who were the game changers, as we can say. And that is quoted not by me, but by newspapers, by media. And for that, Century magazine awarded us in this particular 2019. They awarded us for this environmental change memento, in which it was not that we had to apply for it; it came from them. So that's it. Similarly, another important milestone that usually incubation centers are found in engineering colleges, in IITs, in IIM. But Maharashtra College has taken a step, and we have set up incubation center. It is last year we initiate the whole process, and hopefully we will be able to uh, change the mindset of the youngsters, that they need not always be in the line, in the queue for jobs. They should be ready to create employment opportunities for themselves and for others. We are socially conscious. Maharashtra College, right from 2018, when Kerala flood happened, Maharashtra College, along with the Alumni Association, we were able to collect 23 lakhs fund for Kerala relief. Similarly, in 2019, we were able to collect almost 7 lakhs for Karnataka flood relief. Uh, this year, 2020, I think so, everyone will remember in their lifetime because of the pandemic. We were able to collect around 2 lakhs for the food relief, and the Nisarga cyclone came, which has devastated Konkan. Till now, we have been able to raise 7 lakhs of rupees, and we hope to raise much more for them. So these are some initiatives that institution has to take care of the society. We feel that, and I thank all my faculty members who came forward whenever I have put up a call for supporting these kinds of calls. With this, I think so. A brief introduction has been given of Maharashtra College. Hope everyone over here who have joined will benefit by this webinar, because very important is that everyone needs to communicate, and effective communication is very important. How best you can communicate, and if you do not know that, you need to learn it. There is nothing that you cannot learn, and communication can be learned. Trinity College London has also approached Maharashtra College, and hopefully in this coming academic year, we may have MOU with them to start their course in Maharashtra College. Once again, I would like to thank Kiran Shetty madam for accepting our invite and being generous to be the source person for this particular webinar. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, we would have a question and answer session at the end of the program. So I request the participants to put the questions in the chat box of Zoom as well as YouTube at the end of the session. Now I call upon Professor Saima Sheikh, coordinator of BSc IT, to give a brief introduction of today's resource person. Saima, to you.
Thank you so much, sir. To begin with the session, I would like to give a brief introduction about our resource person, Ms. Kiran Shetty. Ms. Kiran Shetty is an educator with more than 2 decades of experience. She is currently an academic support consultant with the Trinity College London. She was an ex-examiner, Trinity College London, the local panel from 2008 to 2017. She has a master's degree in clinical psychology and English literature and a professional degree in education. From 2009, she has been training students of all age groups to enhance English language and communication skills and encourage them to take the Trinity College London examinations through her institute, Eloquent. She has worked with many educational institutes in India, training teachers and students to develop professionally. Registered with the CIO as a folk dance and folk art member, she has traveled to 23 countries with the troupe Kala Aradhana to participate in the folk dance festivals. She is passionate about education, environment, ethics, and equal opportunities. She believes in being an eternal learner, enjoys books, music, dance, movies, and trekking. She is a parent to a talented human and a pet parent to 2 equally talented canines. Ma'am, with this, I am once again thankful that you accepted our invitation and as the resource person and would be conducting this session, which we are looking forward to. Thank you so much. And I request you to please start with the presentation. Thank you so much.
Mic is not.
Ma'am, please unmute yourself. Kiran ma'am, yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks.
So again, let me start over. Thank you, Principal Sir, for that very wonderful welcome and a detailed bio or a background about what Maharashtra College is doing. Wonderful, wonderful to hear. Amazing stuff to know that there is 70% of girls studying in a college. I think that's a wonderful example of you already setting that you are ready for the next generation. So you're preparing the generation makers. Secondly, the solar power thing, exciting. I'm a great fan of sustenance and ecology. There it is. Thank you, Saima ma'am, for your introduction. Before we move ahead to a warm hello to everyone, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm an academic with Trinity College London, so I'll just give you a brief little two-liner about what exactly I do, and then we can move on with the topic of the day. So as an academic support with Trinity, my job is to reach out to educational institutes or anybody who is in need of bettering communication skills, English language, and even performance arts. So that's the job profile. So I engage with colleges, schools, institutes, corporates, anyone who feel that they can do something better or they can move the needle to a better way, in a better way, so that the ability to profess their thoughts comes naturally in day-to-day life and in professional life. Having said that, it is wonderful again to be here in front of you. So I'm ready to begin. Saima ma'am, with your permission, sir, with your permission, we can commence with the topic for the day, coronavirus, the game changer of the day.
Yes, ma'am, please. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. So here we go. The reason I decided to address all of you about this is obviously we all are in the middle of a pandemic. We all know that. That's the given. But what's going to happen when the pandemic ends, or if it sustains for a longer period of time than what we have imagined it to be? So that's what is the reason why we are talking about communication skills, that this is one area where we all need to pull up our socks, whether it is an educator, whether it is a learner, or whether it is a layperson. We all need to understand that certain things are going to be irrevocably changed in our lives. They're never going to come back. Things have just moved, and certain things will be very difficult to move on without having proficient way of expressing yourself and connecting with other people. So that is the reason why I've decided to speak about this topic. So moving on, so let's talk about what we are going to speak in this. So I'm going to give you an overview about, first and foremost, what I understand, or rather what everybody understands by the word skills, etc. And moving on to that, after the basic definitions, understanding where we are and what we are doing in the middle of the pandemic with our skills, and then what are the options that we all have. So this is the kind of an overview that I have. So as I get started with this thing, what you think is the skill? So if all of you who are sitting and listening in and tuning in, apart from the understanding of the silk, if you can participate by, which we can address at the later part of the discussion, what is your understanding of this word skill? What do you understand when you say skill? That is what I would like to know from your side. In the meanwhile, I am going to talk about what skills are in my way. So skills, if you look at the dictionary definition, is all about our ability to use our knowledge effectively and readily in execution or performance. It's basically, you will have to know something to use something. So sir referred to something like it can be a learned talent. Skill is something that we have to use. It is something that is doable. It can be measured. It is something that you can map and say, yes, I didn't know this. Now I have knowledge and I've applied my knowledge, and here is my performance. So you can map my skill. That's what the understanding of the thing of the dictionary definition is. But skills are not what we focus on in our day-to-day life, or we assume it's something that you need to know innately. I'll give you as basic example as I've been a school teacher for quite some time of my life. I was always very amused when somebody assumed that the children know to read, know to write, know to think without teaching them. A lot of time is spent in our schools, especially in our Indian educational system, teaching how to write. But I really am very curious to know, when did we teach our children how to read? we are assuming that they have this skill inherently because we see them with a book and we think that that's what they're doing, they're reading. So in a normal, I'll just explore this a little more. In a normal circumstance, when we start learning our language, go back to our childhood and think the way you learned your language, your mother tongue. Nobody sat you down and taught you your mother tongue. Nobody told you, this is your vocabulary, this is your grammar, and now you need to use it in this way, and this is right and this is wrong. You first listened to the language much before you were born. You listened to it till you spoke your first word. Once you spoke your first word, you were making all kinds of mistakes, but those were considered very cute, but you were figuring out your way with the language. Last but not least, when you started speaking, you had a good amount of listening in place, and then you spoke. You mostly sometimes read in your mother tongue better because you already inherently know the language and then you write. Unfortunately, in our schooling system, even with our own languages, we write and then we read what's written, or that is what most of the times happen. And we can see the reflection in the way the language is processed then in the heads. It can be very difficult for a child to read something which he cannot understand and decipher cognitively. So that is one of the most challenging ways when we look at our systems and why we start floundering with our communication skills as we move ahead in life and complexity develops. Moving on. I think Professor is trying to connect to me.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, you can just start with the slideshow because...
I have started, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am, we can see the slides, but you can start with the slideshow because we're able to see it in the full screen then.
Okay, I understand that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Done. I think it's done.
No.
Can you see it now?
No.
Is it sorted out now?
No, ma'am, no. You can just go to the slideshow up or...
I have done it in the slideshow already.
No, we are able to see the slides as well as the remaining. We can just have it in full screen. You can have Shift plus F5 together.
I think
you can just click on enable editing and then you can start with the slideshow.
Just slideshow. Slideshow. They want it on the slideshow. It is
no. You can just click on enable editing, which is coming up as a pop-up.
Yes.
And then you can start the slideshow. Yeah.
Okay, I've done that.
Yeah.
So now can you see it?
Now you can just click on. You can go up next to File, Home, and then you have slideshow. You can have Shift plus F5 together. If you press Shift plus, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you
so
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to just take a quick, okay. Did I just do something? Okay. I don't know.
The annotations.
Yes, I understand. So let's forget this and let's move on. So let it remain. I've already spoken about this, so we will move to this part. I think annotate thing has happened, and else. So far, so good. Okay, you will have to disable the puppy. This is not me doing anything. Okay. Can I begin again, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, please. Yeah, please.
Okay. So let's talk about why do we require skills? And we all know that we require skills for all kinds of things. right from our life day to day. We go to school, we go to achieve education because we want to use it for further use. We want to use what we've gained, or at least that's our assumption when our parents send us to schools and colleges, that we are going to use what we have learned in our process of learning, our education, our jobs, our real life. Most importantly, we want to use it, especially when we require it desperately. A need of communication skill arises when you go for your job interviews. What mostly has been found is that after all the kind of education, some of the most brilliant students don't find the kind of jobs that they deserve purely because they do not know how to present themselves, how to push ahead or market their skills when they are talking to a recruiter or an employer or a would-be employer. And most importantly, this gap carries on even at the workplace. They do not know how to present their skills even when they are in employment. So they kind of stop rising up in the hierarchy. And many a times you wonder why some people get promoted all the time and some people don't. And we can then introspect and find out that probably it has got something to do with some skills that we lack. Most of the colleges and they do campus placements, etc. But what we've noticed is at that point of time, it is most of the time they are assuming that some of the most smartest brains that the colleges have will have the smartest pay packages. Most of the time it does happen, only to be found out that when they actually start working, these people are not very expressive or rather articulate in conveying what they know to either the client or the team members. So let's talk about the basic understanding between skills and talent. So in the basic sense of the definition, a very, very raw way of understanding, talent is your potential. That means, okay, I've got a good voice. So not everybody with a good voice turns out to be a fabulous singer or wins an Indian Idol unless you do something to use that talent, have practice, have potential, and develop that skill. Communicating, speaking in any language, and by the way, communication skills is not limited to speaking only effectively in English language. English will remain our business language. But when you talk about communication skills, we can talk about all kinds of things. We'll be talking about it a little bit later. But don't just limit your understanding that communication skills is all about English talking. They are two different things. You can be effectively communicating in any language. Even when you do not speak, you will be able to communicate. What you need to understand here is what we mean that having a talent. I have a good talent. I'm confident. I know my stuff. I know so many things. But if I do not project it out, if I do not show it to someone, that's not going to help me showcase, because people are not mind readers. People don't peep inside your head to know what exactly is happening over there. So whatever is there on your display right now, what is being displayed is what you are understanding, or at least most of it. So how do you figure out that you lack certain skills? Obviously, you find it out much later in your life. Sometimes when you start seeing that you're not being as productive as you would think you are, you do not get the same results or the same placements or the benchmark or whatever standards. In spite of your hard work, you keep on working hard, but you're somehow not reaching where you're supposed to reach. Suddenly you find there are other people pointing out that you lack something. Maybe you feel you have not noticed it yourself, but others are noticing something that is not in place. And mostly the best part of it is when you do yourself, you reflect on yourself, or you do an introspection thing. Now, this is something which should happen to all of us periodically, irrespective of our age, that we need to know, okay, I am not good at something. So let's give an example. Right when you're a kid, and how do you know? You figure out, okay, I know to bat better than I know how to bowl, or I'm a better fielder. It's your introspection. You see others, you watch yourself, and then you figure out, okay, this is something I can develop. So if you want to develop that skill, basically it means you need to work on it. And without that, there is no moving forward. Otherwise, we'll end up in a scenario much later in life when you realize you lack certain key skills that make or break your career. So let's now come to a lot of people are talking about 21st century skills, and Corona has taught us one very important lesson, that first we need to get all our 20, 19, 18 and previous skills in place before we talk about 21st century skills. It was very, very amusing to find out that there are some skills that we better not forget. So 21st century skills, all jokes apart, is all about collaboration. It's all about communication. It's about critical thinking, and it's about creativity. Let's focus for the sake of this talk today on these 4 C's. And moving on, none of these is something that you have not done in the previous centuries. Right from time memorial, we are always doing this, and that's why we have reached here in this space. None of these are something that are not happened to us before. But why are we looking at it with a microscopic lens right now? It's because now, moving forward, without these, we will not be able to find ourselves in a, how do I say, most comfortable position. So if we need to be comfortable in our lives, we need to develop our communication skills. So what do we mean by communication skills? So it means all of these and much more. We need to present. First and foremost, it's all about what you know and what you project. So we're talking about presentation skills. Knowledge, inherent insight is of no use to anybody if it is not projected outside, if it is not displayed outside. It's like your phone, it's like your television, display kharab ho gaya. That is not going to be of any use to you, no matter how expensive it is. You need to know how to negotiate yourself in a better position. Lots of time you find yourself stuck in a corner. You're not moving the needle because you need to negotiate. You need to know, okay, I'm good at this. I need to. Now, negotiating skills, the women know it inherently. Every time they go out and get a bargain shoe or a bargain dress or something like that, they're negotiating with the shopkeeper, they're negotiating with the vegetable vendor, they're negotiating with someone and getting the best deal out. So that's your inherent skill. But now we have to also talk about skills like influencing other people with our decisions. Selling something. Now, selling is not necessarily a product. Selling is an idea. Selling is a concept. You may be fabulous at something and you want to start your startup. How will you project it to your bankers? How will you project it to the people who are going to finance you, who are going to invest in you, who are going to be your team? How do you do it? So selling is also an idea. So lots of startups we have seen in the last 1 decade, last 5 years have seen a fantastic growth in startup industry. It's all because they could finally communicate their idea to someone. Teamwork. I don't have to talk a lot about teamwork. Every time right now, all of you are doing all these things, sitting in different places, probably at your homes, some different corners, and it is the teamwork that is why everything is moving in cohesion as a one unit. Most importantly, we need to respect each other's differences when we are in communication. You understand that we all are coming from different cultures, we all are coming from different understandings and background. That respect in our communication must also be very, very evident. We need to have good business writing skills. We have been periodically requested by many corporates to teach how to draft an email, how to write an office correspondence, how to write a report. It's something that people just ignore, and it's becoming quite a big problem. In the business world, people don't have the time to go through pages and pages of material. You need to highlight what you want to talk. Most importantly, you must understand that no matter what you do, everybody is right. So it's always going to be that you're trying the most of the time to make it win-win. So have a win-win conversation every time where nobody feels left out or lost when you're communicating. So moving on, let's talk about the different kinds of communication skills. We've talked about, we most of the time focus a lot on oral skills, how we present ourselves. But we have to also understand that a large part of communication skills come from writing. And for a country who starts that entire education process with writing, it's very surprising that the kind of writing we do is not exactly, how do I say, of academic quality. It's not, it doesn't withhold the test, or it doesn't withstand the test of, critical analysis. You must understand that what you're writing in your college cannot be written in your office. What you're writing in your office cannot be written in your home correspondence. Each one has got an important place in your life, and every time you need to change the way you write and way you connect. A lot of talk has to be also about how we are using our body as a tool to project our idea. I am sitting somewhere, I'm using my hands, my gestures, I'm communicating, I'm using so many things right now. It's all going on because I want to connect with you, though I am not in front of you physically. Importantly, let's not forget the power of nonverbal communication, wherein we do use, remember your mother's stare when you did something which was not supposed to be done? That stare was a non-verbal communication. Of course, I'm not going to get into you getting physically beaten up, but that's not a non-verbal communication we want to encourage. But every time when somebody with their eyes or face communicates their pleasure or displeasure to you, they are non-verbally communicating with you. We must understand that it is an equally powerful tool. So where do we learn collaboration skills? Right from our playground. I gave you an example about, right, little kids, they find the playground. They know that the teamwork is going to get the thing going. You are not going to be playing team sports, which teaches a lot of things about, without you knowing how to collaborate. Nobody wants a cribber, a complainer, or somebody who cheats on their team. We all want people who are fair game players, who know the rules, but give each other a chance. You know how we don't like people who always want to bat or always want to take something because it belongs to them? It's something like that. So the playgrounds are the best places where we learn cooperation. From the playground, we come to the school and the sports and the collective things. From there, we come to college. All of you in college who organize lots of fests and all the enthusiastic participation in the fest. It is your training, consider it as your training course to be a part of a collaborative team. This is going to be of a very important. A lot of people criticize, all these college fests. I think the college fests are a fantastic learning ground. They are the best way to know what teamwork is all about. Everybody is doing a job. Everybody knows their responsibility. Unless every team is successful, you will not have a fantastic result in your college fest. This then carries on to more serious places like your conferences at your workplace, any seminars or webinars that you're organizing. This is how it carries on. Ask yourself this question when you sit down, sometimes to analyze your skill. What were you good at as a kid, and where are you exploring that? And most often you will find unknowingly you are definitely exploring those skills in a very different way. Most important is, now we as Indians know critical thinking in real life very, very well. I've used the word jugaad because now it is admitted into the Oxford Dictionary. So we can use the word jugaad and it's there in the dictionary. So basically when we having a problem, again, I'm going to give you an example that when you hit that ball and you broke somebody's window, and then you're trying to resolve the problem by, depending on whose window you broke, about whether it was, how do you contribute? How do you help resolve the conflict? Have you always, there is a mediator, the person who takes the middle path, doesn't allow a conflict to go out of hand, out of box thinking. Right now we are stuck big time. But look at us, we have all used technology in the best possible manner to stay connected to each other. There are people who are coming up with fantastic ideas every minute so that we can have this connection and communication with each other. Every person is trying their best to reach out in this pandemic and otherwise also, even in day-to-day life. There are people who are stuck at different places, but they are being rescued. Animals are being fed. People are being helped. All people who are stuck without any help are being looked after. Every person, in spite of keeping the rules in place, has reached out and done a lot of critical thinking to be connected. So we as Indians are very good at Jugaad. We definitely are what we say, always fantastic at our critical thinking. Will you please connect the battery? So moving on, we have to understand one more thing, that one very, very creative element. Now, this is something which I wouldn't be very, and knowing that the fantastic heritage that we carry, I don't think so we train our students to be creative thinkers. There was a movie, Three Idiots, and we're talking about a school that was out of box, which was run by Zuk Wangdu, who's a real person, by the way. We're talking about how creative thinking is very critical for a mind. By the way, creativity is not something that is measured in any tool, because what's creative by my standards may not be, but creative thinking is there to see. People who have come up with ingenious ideas, who people called and mocked and made fun of, all these people, remember very well that these are the people who have definitely been creative thinkers of their time. When you go back in time and think about the scientists, you think about all these people who came up with brilliant ideas at that time. Everybody thought, ye kabhi nahi ho sakta. This is bullshit. Kabhi nahi hoga. That is exactly when they have done it and shown it to the world. That is when we talk about a power of a creative thinker. Please don't underestimate that, but I would request everyone to hone this skill in your students. Find a creative thinker. So let's start with our communication skills. And again, just a quick recap about what we're about. So we were at the place where we started talking about creativity, and now let's move on to what has happened right now. We all know what has happened right now. We have been struck by a pandemic. Let's not get into the nitty-gritty of who did. Let's talk about what we are doing about it. Situation currently is not good for many people. It still remains like this, and it may remain for a very, very long period of time. What are we going to do about this is what is left in our hands. Every single time when we crib about certain things, we have to look at what's happening at the world in a very different lens than we are trained to. First and foremost, what happened with the entire pandemic and we being stuck at home in a bubble, enclosed and absolutely closeted from the world, is our perceptions about certain things changed. We were always cribbing, we don't have the time. And now we have nothing but the time. We talked about a lot of work. Most of us are having very little to do and are struggling with our work. Some of us are lucky with our work, but we don't know how to manage work with the changed circumstances. The way we looked at life has changed permanently, and all of us are questioning us what we are going to do with our life in future. What I'm trying to talk about here is when we were constantly harping about what happened with us, rather how the pandemic affected us. Look at the way we are using the time that the pandemic gave with us, with our families. The way when we were cribbing about our work, that how it feels to be without work or not the kind of work that we are used to. The way we looked at our life in a certain way, we have realized that yes, there are certain things which are actually not necessary and we are managing just fine without that. This is something that none of us were ready to see. We were not ready to see the kind of the reverse migration, and students of economics know exactly about what I'm talking about. We do theories of employment. You have the chapters in employment. We're talking about migrations, etc., from cities, etc. We're talking about productivity. But for the first time, we thought people don't want any of it. They just wanted to be with their families. So we started having reverse migrations. We started talking about having pay cuts. We had financial resources. We had emotional traumas. It's shaken everybody badly. We realized that there are so many things that are happening. Even now, as we all are online, there are certain things happening. Sometimes we are suddenly in the middle of our meetings, we are losing power, connectivity. Sometimes we are there full on, waiting to do a lot of things, but our financial distress cannot push us ahead. We are raring to go, we are waiting to start, but there are so many things that are not helping us be productive. For the first time, curiously, it is the citizens of this country, keeping aside all their decisions, that have come together unanimously and be supportive of each other, no matter what rumor mongering is going on, no matter what somebody says about anybody. I find that is a fantastic way. Sometimes I've been of late a part of a group which have switched off our media sources because we don't know whom to believe. And it's very depressing every morning to get up only to the figures of how many people are dying in your country. They are our people. If somebody is dying, that is not a statistics one needs to. We need to look at what we can do to move forward. So while moving forward, let's look at moving forward in a world where there is all these love, peace, justice, freedom, equality. These are not words that sound beautiful on a paper. We need to really bring them to life now. For the first time, we saw people who have delivered babies, nurses, frontline workers, yet they are there serving other people. There are people who have forgotten everything and they are teaching other people how to use Zoom. My digital literacy has gone up the roof because of being forced to learn certain things. It's not that we were not using online forums earlier, but the way we are using it. The advancements and the research that is happening in our life when it comes to medicines. So, of course, these are the kind of issues we see. We can't think what is going to happen next, but here we go again, forging forward. So we were talking about empathy, we were talking about social solidarity, and this is one of the beautiful things that came out of the pandemic. The kind of social solidarity we have seen today, I have not seen it in my lifetime. The kind of people who have had very little as resources for themselves are busy sharing their resources with the people who have less. People who are standing up for each other. The way we have shifted big time from our physical distancing because we cannot physically connect to each other through virtual mediums. The empathy that we feel towards the less fortunate and to the others, the people who have respected. It's not that we are not seeing a certain ugliness in humanity, but I think the time now is to see the beauty that the humanity has shown us rather than seeing only at the negativities. Yes, there will always remain negativity, but I think there is enough positivity happening in our life. Most importantly, we kind of started spending more time with our family and realized the value of the family in our life. A lot of us had sometimes not prioritized our loved ones because we were working for the loved ones. Suddenly we are rethinking that economics. Moving on, this is the only way to move because you cannot regress in life. There is only one way to go and to move forward. So to all the teachers who are connected right now and to all the would-be teachers who are connected, I want us to take a step back and ask are we just there to give information as a syllabus provider? Are we just there as somebody who just deciphers what's there in the textbook to the student? This is the time to ask us this question, because I think in that case, Google is having, or rather the Google Guru is very powerful, and they give more information and different kinds of information than any textbook can provide. No, but I think we are definitely that. We are there to do that. But most importantly, we are there to enhance the knowledge that is coming out of the textbook. We are the enhancers. We are the providers. We are the ones who talk about life skills. We mentor our students. We groom them not for passing that particular exam, or it shouldn't be for that particular exam, for the rest of their life. And most importantly, you should be the shoulder your student can lean on and ask for help and ask for guidance and call for counseling. I have always tried to be that kind of a person that a student can pick up a call and talk to, or at least can come up and share something. The reason is sometimes you are there, you're the only person who's listening to them, not listening without a bias, without a preconceived notion. So we need to kind of introspect ourselves as educators. And most importantly, this is the time that all of us need to upgrade our skills as teachers too. Many of us, and I'm talking right from, talk to me a decade and a half ago, I didn't know how to even work with the laptop. Even now, I can get panic attacks if something doesn't work, but then there's always help to ask for. So please ask for help. Otherwise, what happens is we are stuck in that limbo about, I don't know this thing, so I'm not going to do it. It's very important that we educate or upgrade our education, because it's become a necessity now. Otherwise, the lack of life skills, lack of interpersonal skills, and the lack of people who are literate, who are educated, who have a degree, but cannot be employable. And this part is something the industry stalwarts keep pointing. Read any famous industrialist who's talking about recruiting, and he will say, I have unemployable literates. What it means is people who are highly qualified, but they don't have employability skills. Their skills do not transfer into workplace skills. This mismatch in the industry is, I think, our job as educators to bridge, and that's our role beyond the textbook explanations of concepts. For all of us who are in the business of education, of receiving it and giving it, and I'm using the word business very consciously, because it is, after all, a service exchange. I know a lot of altruism is attached to education, but at the same time, it is something that we are exchanging our service. Guru Gyan deta hai, Shishya Gyan leta hai. When he comes up in life, he returns. So, having said that, if we use technology to our advantage, it is our best solution in the coming world. Virtual has become our new real. Time and space concepts have been totally rethought out. Technology has saved us, all of us, from being totally disconnected. Imagine for a moment, I or anybody else, we did not have this facility of technology. Even if there's a power failure, even if there is something, it's momentary. We are back on track. We're still connected. We're trying to reach out to each other. I can pick up a phone and coordinate with somebody who is far away and ask for help. So this is what we need to understand, that we cannot replace technology. We cannot regress to a place where there is no technology. So moving forward, I think technology and communication skills are the only way we can change our game post-corona. And for the next few minutes, I'm going to focus on that part. Let's talk about most of the people who we are addressing, whether they are students of Maharashtra College and all the other people who are listening into this, and everybody else who will be watching it later. Let's talk about the people who are going to be our caretakers in the next 1 decade and later. So how have you moved the needle? So everybody who's a student or a learner, I want to understand. So maybe in the chat box, you can type, how have you spent your quarantine time? When I say moving the needle, what does it mean? Have you learned or a skill? Have you upgraded yourself to a place where you say, oh, yeah, I did not do this better, even if it means dancing, even if it means cooking, even if it means cleaning your cupboard or your wardrobe or your study table. I did not know to do that before this, but I've moved it and I'm doing it so well now. I am helping my mom. I am being of use to my dad. I am facilitating certain things in my cooperative housing society or wherever you are. 90 days and counting, have we all moved our needle? Have we moved forward? Importantly, can we measure our skills and can we say, yes, this was me before and this is me after? Can we all come together and say that, yes, I can map my skills with clear perception? So it's time to rethink reality like many people have done before us. A lot of people have rethought realities, and I've been talking about certain very powerful people, scientists, inventions, those who have created inventions, those who have discovered certain things, industrialists who have come up with fantastic ideas of business, people like engineers who keep coming up with fantastic innovations for all of us. So if Corona has made us rethink our time, space, and work and life management skills, we can always, all of us, prevail and persevere and stand beyond this. Because I don't think so. We are going to be talking only about Corona over here. There will be other things happening in our life. This is not the end. There will be a lot of things beyond Corona. There will be other pandemics, probably. We don't know. There could be any other thing happening to us. And can we persevere? Can we move forward? Can we take stock of the situation and say, yes, we were hit very badly, but you see, we moved on. We didn't hang back. So let's talk a little bit about how do we push the envelope by upskilling. Let's talk about personal growth, whether you are a teacher, whether you're a learner, whether you are somebody. So I'll tell you something about what I'm doing for my personal growth. I'm working on my skills to use my laptop more effectively. I'm learning on my skills to be able to not panic when something doesn't work and try to resolve the matter. I am trying to upskill myself in the profession that I am. I'm trying to learn something so that I can use this qualification later on. What about you? Please type in your chat box if you have done something to upskill your qualifications and have bettered yourself in some way. Most importantly, work on your communication skills. When you are working on your communication skills, and as I said, let's not only talk about language here, we are going to talk about English language too. But if you were somebody who wrote poetry, do you write better poetry now? Do you communicate better with people now? Do you listen to more people? Do you plan? Do you motivate? Do you train other people? Are you creative? Have you developed your vision about how your future is going to be like? Most importantly, how have you upskilled yourself? There's so many free courses available on different portals. There are webinars being conducted by lots of people, just like your college is doing right now. Have you participated? Have you learned something? And have you mapped your learning? Not like you learned, listened, and you forgot and you went to the next one. Because probably there is something for your participation. No. Have you applied that learning to the real life? Is what about. So as we move on, these are my 10 tips to you. First and foremost, it's about reading. And I'm talking about all kinds of reading because I am a product of two parents, both who did not speak the English language for quite some time. My dad learned English language only when he was in the college. My mother did not go to an English medium school, but I am working and teaching in English. And that happened because I had fantastic teachers and most importantly, I had this passion to read, which has still prevailed and read everything.
because all good leaders are readers. A leader will be devouring information because how they can apply it to the real life. So please, if you want to become a leader in your field, be a good reader. Important is equally to listen to different people. It cannot be always my way is the highway. Do listen to others. Do take their appointment. Don't change if you don't believe it, but do listen to them. Think about what they're saying from all sides before taking offense. But if you don't agree to that, it's fine to be assertive and be by yourself, but at least listen. When somebody's trying to tell you something, try to be a good listener. Make time for yourself. And talking about physically, mentally, it's not about, oh, I'm looking good today. It's about really making time for yourself to enhance yourself and move forward in life. Keep some time in the day that is perfectly your me time where you're without a phone, without a screen, and you just can do, with yourself, own your talents. If you know you're a good dancer, never got an opportunity, put on something where it is free, dance your, sing, paint, read. Don't know what you need to do if you want to enhance your English talking skills, or speaking skills, or projecting, preparing good presentations, work on those skills. Practice good interpersonal skills. A lot of us are very awkward around people. And I'm talking from personal experience. I had to teach myself to be comfortable around people. I was quite a shy kid as a child, and now here I am in a business where I have to interact with different people, and so develop those skills. Practice effective communication. Here I'm going to talk about practicing effective communication in English. It's very vital because English is a business language and you're continuously connected to so many people throughout the world because of your good English speaking skills. Kindly be connected to everyone. So best is read in English, practice skills in English, work on your vocabulary, work on how you connect to other people, and practice effective English communication. Reach out to others when you don't know something. Don't ever feel shy or awkward to ask for help because people are happy to help only if you ask, please help me. Most importantly, let's all talk about also being responsible for our development. Please don't tell, oh, but I didn't get this opportunity. I didn't get a chance to grow in my life because my parents didn't allow me, my spouse didn't allow me, my teachers didn't encourage me. No, there's always a time where you can do it at your own time. So you should be responsible for your development. Please do not push that responsibility to someone else. Introspect, listen to your inner voice, and move forward. Most importantly, believe in yourself that you are the maker of your destiny and not someone else. Don't empower others to decide your destiny. You can do it yourself. All the great people who were written off as people who are silly, who have crazy, have done fantastic in their life because they continued doing what they believed in. You're talking about Albert Einstein, you're talking about Steve Jobs, you're talking about Picasso, you're talking about anybody. There are people who have resurrected themselves. I'm going to talk about the great Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, who at the age of 57 reinvented and stood up on his feet and started his life all over again. I'm talking about the maker of KFC at the age of 52, when he was totally jobless, has started with the Kentucky Fried Chicken, and we know where he is now. So there are a lot of people there who can be your inspiration and motivation. Don't always look at people who have not done it well. Look at people who are making it well, irrespective of the age. Read about people who motivate you. Start your day by listening to a lot of motivating speech and up your self before you move ahead for the day, and do it as often as you can, and reach out to your teachers, reach out to your elders, reach out to your friends who motivate you. Believe in yourself all the time. And before I end, I work with Trinity College London as an academic support, and we do encourage students, especially collegiates, people who are in the colleges to use this as a tool to upgrade, because these assessments are not only acknowledged in India, they are globally acknowledged. You have points when you go to study for your university admissions, points where your certificate is valid for your jobs, etc., for visa purpose, most importantly, and other aspects. But I love our assessments because they map your professional and personal growth as a communicator. And that's one of the best things to do. So I'm going to leave you with a lovely quotation which has stayed with me for years. I heard it when I was in school. Didn't make a lot of sense at that time. And like all the school kids, we were busy writing Murli Shari and hardly made, but like makes a lot of sense now, and especially in this situation of pandemic. It says that खुद ही को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकलीफ से पहले खुदा बंदे से पूछे कि बता तेरी रजा क्या है. And so we have to take responsibility and we have to move forward. It's our life and we have to be fully responsible for it. So thank you everyone for listening in to me. I'm more than happy to take in your question answers now if you have any.
Thank you, madam, for such a wonderful session.
And I'm very sorry for all the goof ups.
It's okay, madam. We know managing such a webinar with so many participants is too much difficult. We have to deal with such glitches. So I request the participants to put the questions in the chat box. I will forward it to madam.
So there is a question from Mr. Satish AR. If you could you just have you noted it down?
No, actually, I was.
Okay. He's asking. May I ask?
Of course, please.
Yeah. So he's like he asked that how can we develop the communication skills? Not actually taking a course or anything, but
okay. So even if you do not want to opt for a course in communication skills, first thing first, when you talk about developing communication skills, I'm going here with an assumption that you are talking about communicating in English with others. Yes. So if that is true, all you have to do is ensure that you make it as a learning progress. Map your progress. First, find out where do you think you're lacking. Do you know English very well, but when you speak, it is a problem? Do you think that you do not know at all? Start by first marking what is the lack. Every day, keep yourself a small target. Like, I'm going to speak 5 sentences in English, maybe to someone. If you're really not at all aware, then something more. Now I'm going to use better vocabulary. Now I'm going to talk for new people. Sometimes what happens is you talk to people who you're very familiar with and your comfort level is very high. But I would request you to start talking with people who you're not comfortable with if you need to really move forward, because that helps to understand their response and apply it. Yes, interpersonal skills continue to be a challenge. I agree. But it's only when you keep pushing yourself that you will see these are barriers. And most of these are mental barriers, if you know. It is not, there's a lot of online stuff available even for free. But most of our problems lie with our mental blockages of not wanting to take the plunge. So my thing is push your envelope.
There are a few more questions, madam.
Yes, please.
One question from participant: how can one enhance audience awareness, especially in classroom?
One of the best things to see whether you are, if you are lucky to be right now in an interactive classroom, even when you're, one of the things is check your learners' needs before you start. Ensure that you are not catering to the toppers only, because they don't need you as much as the people who are not topping or the other students need you. Then find out, analyze, structure a lesson to have an interactive activity where everybody gets a chance to participate. Whenever you devise any activity, let's talk about communication skills, and I'm talking about, like, if you want to do it about I have to ensure that if I have a group of 40 with me, every person gets to do something Because some people are auditory learners, some people are visual learners, some people are tactile learners. Take their needs into mind, design your activities, and keep changing. Keep changing the group. Don't let all the comfortable people with each other gravitate towards one corner, and then they're having a gossip session, not a learning session. So there are many techniques that you can do it. I would happy to share certain links with your professors, and then they can share it with all of you.
Sure, madam. We also request you to share the PowerPoint with Sam so that we can put it in the group.
Absolutely, definitely.
There is one more question, madam,
Yes.
from Urmila. Interpersonal skills is such a big challenge for everyone. What points should be kept in mind while addressing people on social media with known or unknown?
First and foremost, respect each other. Please, let's be very careful with our words, and especially on social media. Okay? This is not the time to vent yourself. That's one part. Second thing is, if you are being disrespected, let that other person know. Third point is, look at the boundaries. What forum are you from? Is it your friends? Is it your business group? Is it your professional group? Find out. Be respectable. Respectable is the one thing right now, the most important, because I see a lot of disrespect on social media towards each other. And I think that's something that we need to work on. Work on the communication of respect, and everything else will fall in place.
There is one more question. Corporate communication have been now more challenging in current pandemic. Can you suggest some clues to handle it?
Depends on what the corporate communication term is a very broad term.
Yeah.
Earlier, when corporate communication was there, mostly you had guest speakers who would come in, they would speak for the day, and that's what it. Here right now, you're analyzing whether your workers, your employees' morals are high, whether they are communicating, whether they are reporting, how is the quality of their reporting. So you can organize, depending on your corporate needs, organize smaller sessions rather than now dousing them with a long, there's to be physical sessions which will move on for 6 hours, etc. Now I think you should need based. Find out one of the best thing I would require, whether you're in a school, college, corporate, workplace. First, ask people what do they want help with, and then design it for them. That would be better.
There is one question from Ria Fidai.
Yes,
what
please.
are the professional courses to be a communication skill trainer? What are the professionals? Yes,
the professional courses. Now one of the best thing is upgrading yourself with the use of the assessments like we offer. Then the other thing is reading yourself, etc. Most importantly, please there are a lot of people who promise you the trainer certificate, but be very careful about what exactly are you learning. If you plan to teach, then I would recommend the ATCL and the LTCL diploma exams by Trinity. But to reach that level, you need to do a lot of things. You can Google, the links can be shared, and then you can become a professional communication skills trainer.
We can take a last question, madam.
Yes.
Which of course, even our teachers in our college face. How to make our students focus on reading? Because it's supposed to be built in early ages at college level. It becomes more difficult.
See, first and foremost, by the time they come to you in colleges, okay, they are in an age group where we kind of listen to them rather than they listening to us. So you will have to find out their passions. For me, reading can be anything. If they like something, discuss, provide a reading which is interesting to them to start with, and then you can provide links. So for example, if there are youngsters who are interested in fashion or IT, or you start with the literature related to these things, then move on to other areas. It's very difficult to tell a child to read, but when you don't provide them the roadmap about how to move on reading, it is kind of difficult. But the best thing at this older age is self-motivation. They should want to read. So if we work on their motivation, I'm sure they can pick up the book and start reading themselves.
Sure, madam. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Uh, so now I will take on the vote of thanks. So I, on behalf of Maharashtra College, would like to thank our resource person, Ms. Kiran Shetty, for such a wonderful session and elaborating the actual meanings of skills, the difference between skills and talents, the importance and parts of communication skills, the importance of creative thinking in academics. Thank you, ma'am. I
Thank
also
you. It was a pleasure to be with all of you. Thank you.
Okay. I also thank our principal, Dr. Sirajun Chogle, for his immense support and encouragement. I also thank all the members of our organizing committee, our Vice Principal, Dr. Majid Ansari, sir, Professor Abdul Aziz, sir, Coordinator BMS, Dr. Ashinda Hani, IQAC Coordinator, Professor Saima Sheikh, BSc IT Coordinator, Professor Harun, BSc CS Coordinator, Dr. Mazhar Thakur, Professor Abdul Rashid, Professor Asima Siddiqui. It is the tireless and sincere team efforts due to which we are able to conduct the webinar smoothly. Finally, I thank all the participants for joining us for this session. Thank you, everyone. The feedback link is posted on the chat box of Zoom as well as YouTube. Please fill the feedback form as the link will remain active for only 1 hour. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you again, everyone. Thank you, Principal Sir. Thank you, Saima Ma'am, and all the professors. Thank you so much.
Thank you.